has come, meaning it is Inktober time. If you're in the art community, there's probably no way you missed it, but if you're not familiar with Inktober, it's basically a worldwide drawing challenge where everybody can participate in, and it's all about drawing or painting each day an ink piece and post it online. And I think it's such a nice way to connect with other artists, to get back to traditional art and improve yourself. So I've decided to just draw each day and make a little project in this year's Inktober. And I've already participated 2 times. The first one was in 2017 and I was doing the official prompt list just to see how far I would come. And it was hard with the prompt list because I'm a person that spends too much time to find cool subjects to draw, and having this random word without any preparation just kind of overwhelmed me. I think I managed to do 11 days. The next year, in 2018, I did my own prompt list and also thought about all of the drawing subjects beforehand. I tried to visualize different phobias, and I remember that I wanted to get better at digital art, and I think I bought my iPad that year and wanted to improve digitally with my line art, which is why I decided to do digital black and white drawings. And I managed to do like 20 something days. I was proud of myself and I didn't think that I would get this far. This time I don't have a prompt list at all. Since I'm gonna be drawing a lot, I've decided to make a little project out of it. Basically, I want to tell a little story that continues with each day of drawing, and I don't know the end of the story yet. And it's not about finishing all 31 days, because there might be days where I just don't feel like drawing, or maybe I don't have an idea how to continue the story. No pressure at all, it's more about sincerely liking my story in the end. So let's see where it starts. This year is gonna be traditional. I wanna use some antique ink with a lightly hint of blue or purple to it, and I bought a few watercolor brushes and some opaque Liquitex ink if I wanna highlight something. And if I wanna keep a certain area completely white, I'm gonna use a bit of this masking liquid that can be just rubbed off. For line art, I'm gonna use either my dipping pen or the Pentel brush Zine pen. As I've said already, I want to tell a little story where I don't know the end of yet. And I will start with a digital sketch and make the inking part traditionally. When I transferred the sketch, I started with a rough wet and wet technique and let the ink spread as it wants on the picture. I tried to control the darker spots by dipping more ink into the water, creating some shadows here and there. I thought about the mood I wanted to set the story in and decided to go with a dark and moody theme in a small town. The protagonist of the story is a black-haired girl that slowly starts noticing a dark presence around her. The more I develop the story, the more I want to establish who the girl is, how she lives, and how the darkness affects her. For this picture, I decided to set it at night in her own apartment, where she calmly looks out of her window at the gloomy old village. Behind her, you can spot a little bit of cold smoke drawing closer. On the second day, I continued the story by showing another perspective of her standing at the window. When you look closely, you can spot the smoke from the previous picture that I wanted to keep as an element accompanying the story, and also 2 more hands grasping onto the window frame. On day 3, I wanted to keep the evening setting and show how the girl is making herself ready for bed in her bathroom while looking in the mirror. This is the moment she realizes something dark and strange behind her. She goes to bed while the creature lies right beside her. Her bed is surrounded by darkness and white smoke coming from it. On day 5, which was actually still day 4 because I had to stake some days together to keep up with the challenge, I wanted to show her getting up from bed and starting into a new day, while you can see some dark feet behind the bed, mirroring her behavior. She goes outside onto the streets where there are many people, but nobody seems to notice the dark creature. It keeps following her wherever she goes, leaving a trace of the white smoke behind, and she can't do anything about it. This is also a day where I had to make 2 paintings for day 7 and 8 to free up some time. These 2 paintings were both about being followed while the creature is getting bigger and bigger by each picture, up to a size that is higher than a simple bus stop. Since I had to skip day 9, I decided to do a double-sized piece for day 10. I wanted to show how huge the creature has gotten by placing it right beside these buildings where she lives in. This is the area from the first picture that I drew. Day 11 is a special day for the story since it makes a little turn. I wanted to show her decision to confront the creature by making a fist, and since I wanted to include the smoke into every picture, I wanted her to grab onto the smoke as if it's some sort of cloth. Now the whole story takes a turn and I think of new ways of visualizing some new ideas into this story. And it kept getting harder to stick to the challenge because it's not only just a little sketch like I did the last few times, but these are full-sized paintings with different steps, and it's not that easy as I thought it would be, especially with my uni courses starting, home tasks, some other projects I'm working on. So I think I make it a little bit shorter, like 25-ish days or something, just so I have the time to edit this video to release it hopefully on Halloween. But I'm almost halfway through, so let's move on. This is the moment where she takes the courage to face the creature, looking right into its huge dark face and glowing eyes. Next day, next picture. Let's continue with the girl facing the creature while it's drawing closer. You can now see a side-by-side comparison. It would actually be a little bit bigger, but I wanted a nice composition, so I drew it a bit smaller. The creature turns around and draws back, but the protagonist decided to follow it, wherever it's about to go. It's getting smaller and smaller by each step. The girl is chasing it into a neighborhood she's not familiar with anymore. Seemingly it's heading into a dark forest. Or maybe I will turn it into something more magical, something less dark, and try to create a more calm feeling to this whole story. The moon is shining and both of them are going deeper into the forest. You can see the trees becoming bigger and bigger while smoke is leading the way. Over a huge tree trunk, the girl still follows the creature. On the ground you can see some little flowers surrounded by the darkness of the forest. Safely inside the forest, both of them are facing each other again. This time, the creature has become just as small as it was in the beginning. They can now face eye to eye. She hugs it, and it starts to dissolve into little particles and dust. Only a few crumbs are left in the palms of her hands. The white smoke is slowly disappearing into the darkness. And only some last traces are left behind. Okay, I might be done with this story, and I was posting the process on my Instagram, all of the pictures, and I got questions like, oh, is it her own fear following her, or is it just herself? And I was like, I don't know. It's not like I had a plan on the metaphorical plane. It's more like a feeling that I wanted to portray and show, and I didn't know how it will develop, and it can be whatever you see in this. But I'm glad that some of you liked the process, and yeah, I was posting everything on Instagram, so if you're interested, you can check that out. I laid out all of my drawings to see them all together, and I think this would be a nice book or zine or something like that. So I thought about ways of bringing all those pictures together. And I also thought it might be cool to have a cover for all of these pictures to wrap this project up and make one last painting. After a small dummy out of cheap paper, I had this story printed as a small little zine. It turned out so nice and dark. I liked seeing it all together, and also the texture of the paper. It looked so nice when printed. I think whenever I will buy myself a good printer, I might do real little zines out of this, and I'm looking forward to it. So thanks for watching if you're still here. I'm kind of impressed because it was such a long process and video, but I think it worked out quite nice, and maybe I'll do something like that again in the next year. So thanks for watching, see you in my next videos, and happy Halloween!